Hello, everyone. 1 hour, 30 minutes for the non-calculator and last 30 minutes for the calculator. So our final exam will be not in this building. We have to go to the other building, the bad one, 17 Lexington. 13th floor, room number 23.
Never been there?
Yeah, the elevators are bad. The room are not so good. Yeah, for some reason, this semester most of the math exams are taking place in that building. And I don't know why. So our final exam will be exactly 1 week from today. That means you don't have much time to study, but you have lots of things to review. Make sure you review all the in-class exam fast. I posted the solution and I made a mistake. I forgot to change it. I'm going to repost the solution again. It's departmental. Do you think I would make the final exam 8 a.m. in the morning? No, I won't. I will. Okay. But if I had the power of a time, I definitely wouldn't have put 8 a.m. Yeah. All the classes before 5 p.m., they have to take the exam 8 a.m. That's the rule. So after 5 p.m., they have to take the exam at 6 p.m. Oh, that's late. 6 to 8. Julia. What happened to the YouTube channel? They terminated my channel. 2 people gave me 3 strike. And if you have 3 strike, it's just vanish. Anyway, I have enemies in my channel. And then someone gave me 2 strike because I uploaded 76 episodes. And then someone else gave me just for 1 video. I uploaded only 1 video for that, and thus they gave me a strike. So I have 3 strikes within 3 months, and now I have nothing. I appeal to them, but I don't think they're gonna give me that much at all. Yeah, the 2 point is for the new channel. So my new channel is here. If you are absent, you can just type my name and then you'll see that's me. And then your classmate will tell you what to do. Yeah. Your content, they can do anything. So my point for the new channel is to be mathematician, only the math stuff. Unless I can make some anime myself, which is impossible. I don't know how to make them. Why don't you make 2 accounts? If I get back the other one, I will try to post more if they allow me to. But in this one, I'm not planning to have anything right now. I don't want to lose anything. The biggest regret is that I have all of my classes in there, which I don't have any backup. So I lost my pre-calculus, my calculus, my linear algebra, all those classes, I lost my materials, which is my biggest regret. Okay, so this is our 4th review. You may wonder how. Well, I had 1 review in my morning class, another review with you last week. Now today I had the 3rd review with my morning class, and that's how this is a 4th review. So I'm trying to cover all the materials you need to know for the exam, for the final exam, which will be 1 week from today. So I'm going to post the recording for my morning class after a bit. All you need to do is go to the channel and then under our class, like here, 10:30. Not play. If you click on view playlist, you'll see all those videos here. I'll try to put them on top. So when you log in, you can simply see those reviews here. Yeah. And we are going to have few things to review. Whatever left, we're going to do everything in our last class. And also, I don't have your exam. I'm going to give your exam back in our last class, Friday. You don't have it today? No, I'm not. I couldn't finish grading them. I didn't finish grading yet. So I'm still grading in middle. So I did first 2 pages for everyone and the last page, the calculator portion for everyone. So I'm still doing the middle. So once I do the middle, I'm going to calculate everything and then I'm going to add the 2 points from last class. So if you are absent in last class, you can still get the point if you show me today. So I'm going to add those points with the score. Any question before you start? Any comments, concern? Friday, we'll have our last class. Okay. So these questions are from chapter 11 about quadratic. Do you remember what is discriminant? What's discriminant? B square minus 4ac. So if you forget any time, just make sure you remember a quadratic formula correctly. If you can remember a quadratic formula correctly, then whatever you have inside the thingy, that's the discriminant. Now this question is asking if you have discriminant 29, which type of solution you have, and what can you say about x-intercept? Stephanie. So it's 29. 2 solution. And they're both real or imaginary? Real irrational. It's real because it's not negative. And why it's irrational? We cannot simplify 29. So we have square root of 29 plus minus here. Plus minus square root of 29. 29 is not reducible, so you cannot reduce that. You cannot simplify that. So it's irrational. And it's plus minus, so it's 2. And it's real because it's real number. It's not imaginary. So we have 2 real irrational solutions. How about the x-intercept? Since we have 2 real solutions, so we have 2 x-intercept. X-intercept only can be real. Stephanie. Discriminant 0 means you have a graph either like this or like that. So how many solutions you see? 1. How many x-intercept you see? Next one, we have discriminant 49. It means you have plus minus square root of 49, which is plus minus. So now what type of solution you have? We have 2 real and they're rational. Rational means just a fraction, but it's simplificable. We simplified our square root. So when you can simplify the radical, it's rational. When you cannot simplify, it's irrational. How many x-intercept we have? 2. Because they're real. Stephanie. If we would plus minus square root of negative 49, it would be 2 imaginary brackets. Discriminant is 0. So you have square root of 0 plus minus 0, which is simply 0. How many and what type of solution you have? Julia. 1 real And it's rational, right? Because square root of 0 is 0. So we can have a real number without the radical. So one real solution. So how many x-intercept? See? Just looking at the discriminant, we can already tell how many solutions we're going to have. And if we have an x-intercept, Julia. No, we can have imaginary, rational, or irrational. For example, the next one. We have discriminant negative 16. It means we have plus minus square root of negative 16. What is square root of negative 16? So what's the answer? We had two imaginary, and since we simplified the radical, so it's rational. Two, oh, not this one, the bottom one. Two imaginary, not this one. It's E, right? Yeah. It's two imaginary and they're rational. That means how many x-intercept we have? None. We cannot have any imaginary x-intercept. X-intercept must be real. Solution can be imaginary, but x-intercept cannot be. And now the last scenario. What if we have negative 61? Let's do the imaginary irrational. Perfect. It's 2 from here. It's imaginary because we have a negative inside the square root. And it's irrational because we don't know what is square root of 61. Square root of 61 is not simplificable. So 2 imaginary irrational solution. That means how many x-intercepts? None. So for this type of question, you don't have to show any work. But if you do some work, it will be easier for you to see things like the way I did. Any question? Right. Now comes the famous triangles. Solve for x. What do we do? What type of triangle is this? A right triangle, right? So when you say right triangle, what comes in your mind, Julia? A square plus B square equals C square. What C represents? Anything or specific side? Hypotenuse. A and B doesn't matter, it could be anything, but C definitely has to be hypotenuse. So what I suggest you guys is to go over your exam 1, 2, and 3. See what mistake you made. You're going to see the same questions again. Whatever I have in your exam 1, 2, 3, you definitely have all the questions in the final exam from there and the review sheet also. You will not see anything outside of those, I believe. So see what mistake you made in your exams and fix them for the final exam. I remember many of you could not distinguish between A, B, and C, and you wrote anything is anything. As a result, everything is 0. Final exam doesn't have partial credit, so you have to be very careful. So let's say this is A, and let's say this is B. So we have x minus 7 square, 12 square, and x plus 1 square. Okay, not bad. But then what? What do we do with all these squares? Distribute means like this. We cannot distribute. We can distribute the power only when you have a multiplication and division between the two things. So in this case, it's x minus 7 times x minus 7, x plus 1 times x plus 1. And what is 12 squared? 144. So is 12, find them out. It will get x squared minus 14x plus 49 plus 144. And in here you'll get x squared plus 2x plus 1. We're going to move everything to one side because anytime it's a square, we want to factor. So we subtract x squared, we subtract 2x, and we subtract 1. So they cancel out. Also x squared cancel out. We have negative 16x, and look at all these numbers. So 49 minus 1 gives us 48. We have 48 and we are adding 144 with that. 8 plus 4, 12, 4 plus 4, 8, and 1 is 1. I did something wrong. What did I do wrong? Oh yeah, nothing. So 5 is correct. So negative 16x gives us 192. Sorry, negative 16x plus 92. Last 192 gives us 0. And we are solving for x. So we can simply move the 16x to the other side. That gives us 16x is 192. And now what do we do? So 16 goes to 192 how many times? 12. Did you use calculator or did you do it mentally? Really? Many of my students in my morning class actually give this in the exam and they did it mentally. Guess what I did? Zero. Because come on, show me something that is believable. If you can do this mentally, show me that you did it mentally. Show me in front of me. So if you don't show me in front of me, don't expect to get the point. Exactly. See how hard this could be if you simply divide manually. Do this way so I can see. I got 1 time into 19. 16 goes to 19 only once. We get 19, so we subtract. So we have 32. See how easy that is? 16 goes to 32 twice. We only factor when there's an exponent term. What do you mean? Like, we can factor that since there's no x squared. No, we only factor when there's an x squared. So please don't do hard math in your mentally because I don't see your brain. Show me that you know it. Okay. So answer is 12. No, because it's quadratic. It's triangle. We take 3 scenarios. One is log. Anytime you're solving for log, it's you must check. Anytime you're working with square root function, you must check. Solving radical equation, you must check. And solving denominator type of problem, rational equation, you check. Because we don't want the denominator to be 0. We don't want to have any negative number inside the square root, and you don't want any log to have any 0 or negative numbers. Log 0 negative doesn't exist. So that's why we have three problems. Only these three scenarios we check our work. For others, we don't. What if we made a mistake? In here, if you get a negative number, then you can check to see if any of the side becomes negative. But we got only one number, we don't have to check. Let's say you got one of the answers is -2. Then -2 we cannot accept because -2 minus 7 is -9. We cannot have a length that is negative. Okay, the next one. Julia, question? They will give you options A, B, C, D, E. If it falls in under the multiple choice. If it's not, then they will simply ask you solve for X. Every year they actually switch around the questions. So some year, some questions under the multiple choice. In the next semester, it goes in the free response part. So that's why I don't give the multiple choice. I want to make you ready for any scenario. The next one, what do we do? Same thing. So what do we have? Common mistake. What is 3x squared? So it's 9x squared. What I seen in many of your exam is that you write 3x squared. As a result, the whole thing is wrong. Whenever you substitute anything, make sure you put a parenthesis. Parenthesis makes a huge difference. 5 squared is 25. 10 squared is 100. What do we do? Since we have only one x term, so we can actually get rid of the number. Now 100 minus 25. 75. We divide by 9. And we know 9 doesn't go to 75 evenly, right?
And we can simplify.
By what number? 3. So 3 goes to 75? 25. 3. But you're not looking for x square, you're looking for x.
We get plus minus 5 or.
So we square root both top and bottom. And this time, actually, plus minus doesn't make sense. Because minus, our length cannot be minus. So in real life, plus minus, we don't put that. But when you're solving it without calculator, without the triangle, then you must put plus minus. So we have 5 over square root of 3, but you're not going to see this in the multiple choice. Yeah, they always want you to rationalize. So we need to multiply by what? Square root of 3, top and bottom. Now you're going to see a result.
5
over 3. So this question is easy until the last part. In the last part, you need to reverse by 3, take the square root, and then rationalize. Analyzer doesn't have partial credit, except for 6 questions. Combining both parts, there are 6 questions you have partial credit. If you make only one tiny little mistake, but if the mistake is a big mistake, no partial credit. For example, if you put plus answer instead of minus answer, that's all minus. But if you put plus, it's a tiny mistake, so you get points, 2 points. But let's say the answer was 5, but you wrote 7. It's not a tiny mistake. It wrote truly 2 different numbers. So it's no points. Total 30 questions. 8 questions will be in the calculator portion. 22 will be in the non-calculator. Non-calculator will be from 8 to 9:30. At 9:30, you're going to get your calculator. 9:30 to 10, it's calculator portion.
Also, we.
Make sure you have your own calculator, just like your exam today.
Which parts they don't have,
They have partial cut in both parts. 3 on the first, 3 on the last. On the calculator. Every time, every semester, they switch around. So in some semester, probably this is not in the calculator question. Not in the free response. It's in the free response question. In some semester. But in some semester, this is in the multiple choice question.
I think most probably will be in the problems where the word is a lot.
It depends. So there is no guarantee like this question will be in the non-response and this will be in the multiple choice. It doesn't work that way. Like every semester they move around the questions. So, but we don't have square power. We have fourth power. Do you remember what do we do? You forgot?
I remember something with AC.
There is a condition. If you fulfill that condition, that means we can do it just like quadratic. What is that condition?
We can write y4 as maybe any other.
The bigger power has to be. They're enjoying. Probably they don't have to take final exam. Okay. So whenever we have weird power, fourth power, or fraction power, or negative power, if the bigger power is, Julia?
Oh, no.
It's factorable or not. We first figure out whether we can use factoring here or not. So if the bigger power is 2 times the smaller power, then we can use quadratic. So which one is our bigger power? 4, right? Is 4 2 times the smaller power? That means yes, we can use quadratic. Quadratic means either we can factor or we can use a quadratic formula.
So if the second term were to be 65, why you can't do that?
No.
Why?
Because 1 times 2 is not 4. So we have to check the power first. Our fourth power is 2 times our second power. So yes, we can do factoring here because factor it all by the numbers. But in the factors, we are not going to use y as our variable. Y squared, the smaller one. We always use the smaller one in the factoring. So y squared, minus 64, minus 1. So 2 numbers multiplied to 64 combined to 65 is 64 and 1. 64 has to be negative because our middle term is negative. So to get 65 from 64, or 1 also has to have the same sign. So we have y squared minus 64, 0, and y squared minus 1, 0. What do we do? So y squared is 64, y squared is 1. Square root. Y is plus minus. And y is plus minus 1. Let's do one more with a different types of approach. Let's say we have x to the 4 minus 3x minus 4 equals 0.
3x squared.
3x squared. No, never mind. It's not 4, it's 5. And if it's 5, then this should be 6. No. It's fine, no problem. Yeah. So We already know 4 is 2 times 2, so we can use factoring. What is our variable?
X squared.
X squared. Which two numbers multiply to 6 combine to 5? Multiply to negative 6 combine to negative 5.
Plus 6, yeah. Plus 6x minus 1. Oh.
See, 6 has two choices, 6 and 1 or 2 and 3. Which one makes sense?
Minus 1.
Minus 6 plus 1. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 minus 1 is 5. So 6 is a tricky number. 6 and 5, they're tricky because both of them work. 6 and 1 and 2 and 3. But the sign doesn't work. So you have to see which pair works with the sign. So we have x squared minus 6, 0, x squared plus 1, 0. So x squared is 6 and x squared is negative 1. And then what? Square root, square root. Do we know what is square root of 6? So you have to keep it. But what do you have to put in front? Plus minus square root of 6. And what happens in the other one?
Plus minus 1.
Square root of negative 1 is I, so it's plus minus I.
You wrote 1 with that.
1 is fine if you want to put it, but you must put I.
Yeah, we put 1 I.
1 is invisible, you don't have to do it. But if you want, you can.
If we put
I is not invisible, it has to be visible. 1 can be invisible as a coefficient, but I cannot be. Okay, so sometimes we get real number, sometimes we get unreal number, sometimes we get whole number, sometimes we get irrational number. So make sure you do it carefully. You may think this is 16 when you do the square root. That's not square root of 16, it's square root of 6. So you don't know what to do. Okay, the next type. Inequality. There will be one inequality.
What do you want?
It could be either this one or could be something like rational.
Are you looking?
Not me, I'm not making the final. The department is.
So the which one's it?
I can't. I don't even know who makes the final. To be honest, I didn't even see the final before you see the final. So I will be grading. I will be grading the paper portion and department will grade the scan fund. So they have scan fund machine, they're gonna check it and then they're gonna give me your score, how much you have in the scan fund. So we need to check if the score doesn't match or is a huge discrepancy between the two scores, that means something is wrong. Okay, what do we do anytime you're trying to solve anything?
Don't we solve it as like we do the same thing with minus 18?
Solving means we want to see 0. So, I hate that. X squared 3x 18. Square plus 3x. We subtract 18 from both sides and we get bigger than or equal 0. Now, what do we do with this? Is it factorable? Yes. Two numbers multiplied to 18 combined to 3. Huh? And what is our variable? X. So you see, we always use the middle one in factoring. So that's why when I did the weird looking one, our middle factor was x squared, so use x squared in factoring. Okay, so what we are looking for? Bigger than or equal 0 means what?
The 9. The number 9. equals to 0.
Either they are positive or they're equal to 0. So yeah, you can use number line. But if you want to use number line, you need to know your x's. So x plus 6, 0, x minus 3, 0 gives us x is -6 and x is 3. So we have -infinity, -6, 3, positive infinity. Now you can use the number line, no problem. We don't have to use the number line. If you draw your graph, what is the shape of this graph? X squared has what shape? Parabola. Upward or upside down? Upward. Upward. So we have a parabola that is upward and going through these two numbers. Which portion is bigger than 0 or equal to 0? We have three intervals, right? Which portion is bigger than 0 or equal to 0? Negative infinity. This portion, right? Yeah. It's bigger than 0, is equal to 0. It's bigger than 0, is equal to 0. So our answers are the left interval and the right interval. Like without substituting a number in our equation, you can simply see for any number in this portion, all the answers are positive. For any x value in this interval, all the numbers are positive.
So is negative infinity to positive infinity?
No, what is the
Negative
value?
infinity to negative.
For any number here, what's the y value we have?
0. The y value is 0.
For anything here, let's say our x is 0. When x is 0, what is the y value?
Oh, is there
Negative.
Oh,
So any number between -6 to 3, all the y's are 0, all the y's are negative. But we are looking for positive. So for any x here, our y's are positive. For any x here, our y's are positive.
So the answer would be negative infinity to negative 6.
Mm-hmm.
And then like positive 3 to positive.
Negative infinity to -6. And -6, is it bracket or parentheses?
Bracket.
It's bracket, see, because you're allowed to have exactly 0. When x is -6, we have 0 here. Right? These are x-intercept. And same thing here, 3 to infinity with the bracket, because when x is 3, we have a 0 here. And see, we are looking for something that gives us 0 y value or positive y value.
When is it that we use the parentheses?
Point doesn't have any equal sign.
Oh, so if it's just
So equal signs means equal 0 means bracket. No equal sign means not equal 0 means parentheses. So two choices, either do this or you pick a number from each interval, substitute here and see what's the sign. Whatever is easier for you, is that one. Please, question. So which one do you think is easier? Finding all the numbers from each interval, substitute, do math and figure out, or just look at the graph and figure out? I find this is easy. So we have positive y, and this is negative y. We are looking for positive y or 0 y, so that gives us our answer.
So we have two numbers you find from like the equation. All the numbers in between that is always going to be negative.
Depends on parabola. If it's upward, yes. But if it's downward, then it's other way around.
Oh, everything outside is negative. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Let me take this out. And now, similar example, but this time it's rational. So if you don't have already in one side, first step is always bring everything to one side. And let's distribute the negative. So we have 9 over x plus 5 minus x plus 3. Oh, I need more space. For any type of rational, we want the same denominator. So our first denominator has x plus 5. What do we want on the second denominator and on the third denominator?
X plus 5.
Same thing. But math is fair. It says, hey, if you put something on the denominator, you must put same thing on the numerator. You know, if people were as fair as math, our life would be so fair. But people are unfair. Since we have the denominator same on every denominator, we write it once and you combine all the numerators. Observe here that minus makes this plus into a minus. So you have to be very careful about subtracting something. Anytime you subtract more than one term, the sign inside what you are subtracting will change. So first numerator is 9. In the next one, we distribute. We get negative x squared, negative 5x. So let me highlight that. It's negative 5x. And then we distribute, but this time we don't have to worry about the sign because it's plus. So plus 3x plus 15. Do we have like terms? These two, right? And these two. So negative x squared, how many x? Negative 2x. And what's the number? 9 plus 15.
Oh,
How can I give you 15? 24. Nazima, be very careful. It's 9 plus 15. But we don't want to have a negative to start with. So what do we do? If you want to multiply, will you be able to remember flipping that? Okay. So if you can remember flipping that, then multiply everything by -1. Only the numerator will change, okay? Because you're multiplying only once. So we are going to have x squared plus 2x minus 24. Denominator will not change. And inequality will flip.
So what were you gonna go with?
Pull out is a negative, pull out is a common factor and keep it. We don't have to do that. It's fine.
Because remember to flip the.
It's like same concept. We know 2 is smaller than 5. But if you multiply both sides by -1, now we have -2, -5. What happens to the inequality? Which one is bigger now? -2, right? So it's the same concept. Anytime you multiply an inequality with a negative, inequality flips. Okay, so what do we do next? We have x squared plus 2x minus 24 on the top. What can we do with that? Factor first. Plus 6 minus 6 times 4 is 24. 6 has to be plus because our middle sign is plus. That means in order to get 2 from 6, our 4 has to be minus. So this is the equation we are going to use to test our numbers. Go ahead, Stephanie.
So before you switch the signs, when you move negative x squared, we can't work with negative x squared. But we always have to put a sign for that one, and then we make and
If you want to work with negative, that means you have to use AC method to work with it. But never mind that. Okay, so from top, we get x plus 6 equals 0, x minus 4, 0. That gives us x is negative 6 and x is 4. From the bottom, we have x plus 5. That gives us x is negative 5. Do you remember? If you have an equal sign, what the top get and what the bottom gets? So this means positive. You're looking for positive or equal 0. True. But how about the boundary? Parentheses or brackets?
On the bottom, we cannot put brackets. Yeah, one of them always gets it.
It doesn't matter whether you have the equal sign or not. Denominator always gets parentheses. Always. Why? Because whatever we got from the denominator, we cannot substitute that into the function. That will make the denominator 0. So denominator must be parentheses. And since we have an equal sign, so the top will get brackets. So if your boundary in the solution has negative 6, it will be bracket. If you have a 4 in your answer, it will be brackets. But if you have negative 5 in your boundary in the answer, it has to have a parenthesis. Now let's see, what do we have in the solution? We have negative 6, negative 5, and 4. Initially, we're supposed to say we cannot have that, okay? Because whatever we have, that definitely cannot be 0 from the bottom. Okay, so if you have 6, they will have a bracket. If you have 5, they will have a parenthesis. If you have 4, they will have a bracket. And infinity always gets parenthesis. Now we have to see from the 4 intervals, which intervals gives us something positive or something 0.
When they're checking the numbers that are there, for example, is negative 6, negative 5.
We cannot use the boundary, you have to use between. So from this pair, what number you want to pick? Anything between negative infinity to negative 6. Negative 7. Now, I'm too lazy, so let me just do it here. Negative 7 plus 6, negative 7 minus 4, negative 7 plus 5. Negative 7 plus 6, what sign we have? Negative. Negative 7 minus 4, what sign we have? Negative. On the denominator, negative 7 plus 5, what sign we have? Negative. We cancel one negative, and we left with another negative. So anything from the first interval gives us the result negative. But what we are looking for? Positive. So can you take this interval? No. We go to the next one and see what the next one gives us. Anything from negative 6 to 5. 0, the best number. So we have 0 plus 6, 0 minus 4, 0 plus 5. 0 plus 6, what do we have? Positive. 0 minus 4, negative. 0 plus 5.
But it is not, it is negative 5. It's not 5, it's negative 5.
Why do you see negative 5?
X equals negative 5. That's 5. That's 1.
I'm substituting here. So 0 plus 6.
No, here on the line, you need to put negative 5.
Thank you. You should have told me before. It's negative 5. That means you cannot pick 0. What do you have to pick? X equals?
5.5. Negative 5.
5.5 negative. So let me erase all of this. This is plus 5. Okay, so we have negative 5.5 plus 6, negative 5.5 minus 4, negative 5.5 plus 5. So between 6 and 5.5, which one is bigger? 6 has positive sign. Between 4 and 5.5, which one is bigger? It has a negative sign. On the denominator, between 5 and 5.5, which one is bigger? It has a negative sign. Two negative cancel. We left it positive. What you're looking for? So you're going to take this interval. So our solution will have this. Then you go to the next one. And we take, what do you want to pick this time? Now we can pick 0 because negative 5 and 4, we have 0 in the middle. So let me erase all of these. I want to change the color purple. 0, 0, 0. 0 plus 6. 0 minus 4. 0 plus 5. Positive. Positive cancel out, you get negative. Can you take this interval? Nope. Then we go to the next one and our last one. Anything bigger than 4. 5. So this is 5 plus 6, 5 minus 4, 5 plus 5. 5 plus 6, positive. 5 minus 4, and 5 plus 5. We cancel one positive, we're left with another positive. And you're gonna take this interval. So see, the solution is in front of us. What's the solution? Negative 6 to the boundary, parentheses, and then 4 to infinity. Infinity always gets parentheses, and 4 is bracket. That's why drawing the parabola is easier because you have to do so many checking if you work with numbers. We cannot because this is not a parabola. With the parabola for the other one because that has a parabola graph. This is a rational. We don't even know what the shape of this rational function. Joel, question? Okay, so if you're lucky, you're gonna get parabola. And if you are not that lucky, you're gonna get one of this. Any question? No. Now comes everything. Find the vertex, x-intercept, y-intercept, and graph it. Let's start with vertex. Do we see the vertex here? That means it is a formula. What's the formula for the x below the vertex? Wonderful. Negative b over 2a. What is b here? Negative 12. Make sure you just because you see a negative, it doesn't mean you can write only negative 12. It's negative times the negative 12. This negative comes from the function formula, and this negative comes from your b. So common mistake. People see it's negative 12 and it's negative 12. That's it. What is our a? So 12 over, which is, so we found our vertex as the x value 3. But vertex is a point. You also need the y value. How do you find the y value if you need x? We are going to substitute that into the function. So 2 times x squared minus 12 times x plus 16. X becomes 3. And now what comes does this? 2 times 3 or 3 squared? What comes first? 3 squared. So it's 2 times 9. And what is 12 times 3? 36 plus 16. We have 18, and you can combine them if you want. Negative 36, positive 16. 6 minus 6 is 0, 3 minus 1 is 2. Negative 20. So what is our y? Negative 2. So we found our vertex. Now let's find y. How do you find y-intercept? What do you do with the formula? We set all the x to be 0 and we solve for y. Stephanie.
So that when we substitute the x value that we found, that's just for the y value of the intercept. So it's not the y.
Y-intercept has to have x0, must be. So 0 minus 0 plus 16. That gives us y is 16. But let's say they're asking for point. In that case, what will be the x value? 0. And y is 16. Now, if you observe, I started with vertex first and then y-intercept. If you start with the x-intercept first, your life will be horrible. You know why? Because definitely you're going to make mistake in the vertex and y-intercept if you start with the x-intercept. Do you know why? Look at what is happening here. We know x-intercept needs y to be 0 and is solve for x, right? So we have 2x squared minus 12x plus 16 equals 0. Now to solve for x, what you're going to do? What do you observe? Just by looking at the formula, looking at the equation. What do you observe? The last number, do you see anything else? All these numbers are even. So what you do is, you're going to divide everything by 2. And if you do that, you get x squared minus 6x plus 8 equals 0. And if you do this fast, guess what? You're going to make your vertex based on this. You're going to make your y-intercept based on this. And the whole thing is 0.
So this is what we should not do.
Exactly. I mean, you should do this in the last step.
Okay.
Not in the first step. So don't try to find x-intercept first. Ever. Don't do that. Always start with the vertex. Vertex needs the original function. Same as the y-intercept. They need the original function. For x-intercept, we can modify our function as much as we want. But we cannot use this modified version, the simpler one, to find the rest. So I'm warning you, okay? Don't start with x-intercept. Always start with y-intercept and vertex. For any type of pattern.
And this would be how we find the
x-intercept. So now we can factor easily. What two numbers multiplied to 8 combined to 6? 4 and 2. The sign. Minus 4, minus 2. 4 has to be minus because our 6 is minus. And now also 2 has to be minus if you want to go for 4 to 6. So we have x minus 4, 0, x minus 2, 0. That gives us x is 4 and x is 2. But try not to do it mentally. Even though I am doing it, I shouldn't. Because I seen even your last exam. Just by looking at your vector, you think your x is negative 4. So do it manually. Don't do it mentally. Okay? If you don't understand what I'm talking about, when I return your exam, look at this. You'll see that you made a mistake. I don't remember whom, but when you see your exam, you'll see that many of you made this mistake. You try doing it mentally, and then you set the exact same number for x. What do you have in the factor? I feel sorry for you guys. So let's say points. What would be the point here? X is 4, y is 0. The next one? 2, 0. So we have everything we can graph. We have vertex 3, negative 2. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2 here. We have x-intercept at 4 and 2. Wait, 2 in the positive side, my bad. Oh, it's a tiny graph. So we have x-intercept at 2 and at 4. Our vertex is at 3, negative 2. And our y-intercept is 16. Let's say 16 is somewhere here. So we start from the vertex, you go upward on both sides to connect with your x-intercept and y-intercept. So it should be something like this. So it's very shrinked. Any question? Julia? No, it's 3, 92. Vertex is a point. It's not a number, it's a point. And every point has to have an x and y. Now you're doing other way around. Reverse direction. They gave us the graph. Find the equation. So our vertex is here, negative 5, 1. And another point is here, 4, 2, negative 4, 2. So even though they did not give us, but we can see our vertex and we can see one point. As long as we see one point and the vertex, our life is easy. So we start with the standard form. No, the vertex form. What's the vertex form of parabola? Y equals some type of leading coefficient A and the But how do we know it's a parabola? What power parabola has to have?
Square.
So where is our square?
Next to the parentheses.
See? Without the square, it's not a parabola, it's a line. Parabola means we have to have a square, and the square is outside of the parenthesis.
And this equation is versus one.
Vertex form or standard form. So you must memorize this. Now, we need to know what is A, the leading coefficient. What's the leading coefficient? That's why we need to solve for A. So if you solve for A, we can subtract K from both sides. We have y minus K equals A x minus h squared. We can divide by h minus x minus h squared. If you think solving for A here make your life easier, do it here. Because I've seen many times when you solve for A after substituting, you get the order wrong. So if you look at your exam paper, if you made the mistake in your exam, follow this method. Solve for A first, and then substitute everything. So A will be y minus K over x minus h squared. And now you're not going to make any mistake because you know your order. You're going to do the numerator and denominator individually. The question is, what is h and k? Vertex. So we have vertex -5 and 1. The first one is h, second one is k. So in the denominator, we have -5 whole thing squared. On the top, we have k is 1. So it's substituted h and k. And now we need to substitute x and y. Do we know any points from the graph that will help us to replace x and y? -4, 2. So x is -4, y is 2. This is x, this is y. That's why only 2 points is enough for us to find our equation. H and k we substitute, x and y we substitute, and now all we have to do is count that to simplify. So -2 minus 1, what do we have? Sorry, 2 minus 1, my bad. 1. And we have -4 with a double negative here. -4 plus 5 squared. What is -4 plus 5?
1.
And what is 1 square? And we have 1 over 1, which is 1. So equation of the graph they want us to find is y equals 1 x minus turn into +5 square minus, now our case 2. So we have y equals a x minus h squared plus k. So you substitute a, is substitute your h, and you substitute your k. You substitute 3 things and you get the equation. In the equation, we have only 2 variables. Y is one side and x on the other side. Everything else must be numbered. Okay. So if it's in the multiple choice, you're going to see multiple choice, but you're going to make one mistake, I'm pretty sure. You write the vertex is -5. So make sure you look at all the multiple choice and pick the correct one. If you show all the one, but pick the wrong one, then say that should be 0. You're going to get 0 points. So be careful.
Yeah.
1. Man, what's wrong with me? Thank you for catching it here.
So basically, by these places, all we have, they're gonna give us 2 points, the vertex and another point, and all we have to do is find.
Substitute. So for A, and then substitute back. 3 steps. So for A, substitute, and then resubstitute in the original one. And now comes the word powers. One of the word powers you definitely see. And there are 2 types of word power. Either they're asking for maximum, minimum, or they'll give you a y value, you need to solve for x. Okay? There are only 2 scenarios here. Based on the 2 scenarios, the rest of the scenarios are good. So in here, we are throwing a ball from a 400-feet building, and the height of the ball is given by this equation. They want us to find 4 things. And if you know these 4 things, you know the rest of the things about this section. On this topic. What time, at what time the ball will reach the maximum height? Anytime you see maximum, minimum, what you're looking for? Vertex. Now vertex has 2 things, right? X and Y. In here, X represent which variable? Time. So X and T, they are same. Now Y is what? Y is the height. Good. So they are looking for at what time it reaches the maximum height. So what you're looking for?
The x value of the vertex.
X value of the vertex. Find the X value of the vertex. Indirectly, they are telling us to do this in step 1. So let me change the color. Our X value of the vertex, what's the formula? Negative B over 2A. So we have negative what?
Negative
What is our B? 350. 2 times negative 16. So negative 350 over negative 32. Negative, negative cancel out. It will be in the non-calculator portion most likely. So we need to do math. 350 and 32. 32 goes to 350 how many times? Sorry, 32 goes to 35 how many times? Once. So we have 32, it left with 30. No, I think it will be the calculator portion. These numbers are bad. Let's use the calculator. Because in the non-calculator portion, they'll give you something easier to work with. This is not easy. 350 divided by 32, 10.94. So you found A. Now B says, hey, what's the maximum height? Now what are you looking for?
the y value. So we substitute the x value that we found.
Maximum height means y value of the vertex. So y equals negative 16 t squared. Instead of t, it's 10.94 So negative 16 times 10.94 squared plus 350 times 10.9 plus 400. Come on, guys, all of you should try this in the calculator. Just because it looks easy, you may not still get the same correct answer.
I got 2,000.
Give me the number 2,
314.
2314
.062.
062 means 06. Wait. Now, is she correct or she made a mistake? You got same thing? How about this side? Trust me, if you try it in class, it will be easier for you in the exam. But if you think you know this, still, you may make a mistake during exam. It always happens to my statistic class. Statistic means all the math.
What is the round only at the end of the, because on the math lab, it says to round only like for the final answer. Yeah.
You should.
So then we get the answer.
Slightly different answer. For example, if they are looking for what's the 10th number, what's the number you have in the 10th place? If you round before, your number will be different here. Okay, see, it says when will the ball reach 50 feet? What is this 50 feet?
The X value. They give me the next value. So when it reaches.
It says when the ball will reach 50 feet. So 50 feet is y. Because our x is time. So they gave us 50 feet. They gave us the y. They are looking for at what time means the x value.
So we put it on the HP and then start.
Yeah. So this is y. So 50 equals negative 16t squared plus 350t plus 400. 50 feet means the height, and height means it's the y value. They give us the y value. They want us to solve for when. When means time. Time is the x value. In other words, they're solving for t here. How do you do it? No, 50 is the y. Okay, it looks weird, right? Let's say this is same as this one. Negative 16x squared plus 350x plus 400.
Also, it's so fresh. We make one side same.
See, now you know what to do. So we subtract 50. We get 0. Negative 16x squared plus 350x. 400 minus 50? 350. All these numbers are even numbers, right? So you can divide by 2. We cannot divide by 16 because 350 doesn't divisible by 60. Does it? Let's see. Probably not because we couldn't do it by 32. 350 divided by 16. No. But 350 divided by 2. Yeah. We can divide all of them by 2. We get 175. So 2, 2, 2, 2. Negative 8x squared plus 175x plus 175. And now you have many choices. Either you can use quadratic formula to solve, or you can graph this in the graphing calculator and then see where do you have your x-intercepts. So if you are comfortable using your graphing calculator, graph this, find the x-intercept. But if you're not comfortable with the graphing calculator, then your hope is the x-intercept. The the quadratic formula. Negative b plus minus. How many c I have?
So if they allow you to have it graphing.
If you do graphing, you're gonna graph, and you'll have something like this, and then you need to know what these numbers are. This one, if it's negative, you are gonna ignore, and this is the answer. So you need to know how to find the x-intercept in the calculator. If you don't know, either you learn it by next week or just use quadratic formula. So if you do this quadratic formula, we have negative what? Negative b means what? Negative 175 plus minus 175 squared minus 4 times negative 8 times 175 whole thing divided by 2 times negative 8. So negative 175 minus something over negative 16 and negative 175 plus something over negative 16. What goes inside? Come on, guys. You have your phone, right? Try this in the phone. Tell me, what do you have for the discriminants? What goes inside? Observe here, you have negative times negative. So it will turn into a positive. Angel.
It's 36,000.
36 and then 225. 6, 225. So what is the square root of that?
190.328.
Negative 70, 190.328. So it's negative something over negative 16, right? And this is 175 plus 190.328 over negative 16. So we're going to have a plus over a minus.
So the first one is 22.8. Oh no.
Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
okay.
So if you want to put it on the top, is 365.3.
And how about the other one? I mean, we don't need to check the other one because look what is happening. This is bigger, this is smaller, so top is bigger. Plus divided by minus will give you a minus answer. But we cannot take time negative. So we have to disregard that anyway.
Automatically.
By observing the sign. The math doesn't matter, the sign tells us already. Bigger plus means plus. And our denominator is minus, so only divide. That t has to be minus, which is not possible. So answer is 22.83. So after almost 23 seconds, are you guys sure you did it correctly? 22 seconds is a huge time, huge amount of time.
But isn't it being dropped from 400 feet?
400. Does it make sense? Does?
400 feet.
And after 22 seconds, after only 10 seconds, it reaches the maximum height. And then to go to 50, it takes 22. Really? Could be. The last one. At what time the ball will reach the ground?
So the ground would be Y0.
Anytime you are reaching your ground means your Y is 0. So this is C. So for D, our ground means Y is 0. So we have 0 equals negative 16t squared. Negative 16t squared plus 350t plus 400. Yeah. And again, you observe all these numbers are divisible by 2. So it's 0 equals negative 8t plus 175t plus 200. And you do the exact same thing again. You have a graph. Probably one of them will be negative, one of them will be positive. You ignore the negative, you accept the positive. So either you graph it or you use quadratic formula. Negative plus minus b square minus 4ac over 2a. Two choices, okay? So if you think quadratic formula is harder, use graph. But for graph, I have to warn you, since your y-intercept is big, so you graph, the graph you'll see in your calculator, it will not give you a good shape. So you have to adjust your window to see the good shape. General question? So you know the method, right? So when they give you the y, you're going to use x-intercept, quadratic formula to find the x-intercept. When they're looking for maximum minimum, that means you are finding the vertex. So only two scenarios. It doesn't matter what question they give you, it will be based on these two scenarios. Okay? Let's do one more. This time we are working with not the height, but profit. The profit function is given by this formula, where x is the number of units. What production level will yield the maximum profit? Vertex. So x value or the y value. Production level, does it tell us the x or the profit? Which one?
I think it's the X, the number of units.
Our y is profit. So profit is the y, and x is the item, which is production.
Wait, so they want us to find the.
What
Y
production level? What production
they-
level?
So they want the X.
They want x plus.
Oh, okay.
And then they were asking how
How
much is the profit?
So the Y.
Thank you. So anytime you see maximum, minimum, go for vertex and then figure out what they're asking. If you're not sure, find both of them. If it's a multiple choice, you'll see one of them. Pick the correct one. So what is our B here?
1,000.
100 up.
1,000.
About 2 times negative 7. So negative 1204 over negative 14. Since the numbers are so big, I think it will be in the calculator portion.
86.
But if it's not in the calculator portion, what you're going to do? You have to do it manually. So 14 and 1204. So 14, can 14 goes to 12? No. So it goes to 120. 14 goes to 120.
So 12 times 12 is 140.
It definitely has to be less than 10, right? 10 times 14 is 140. So it definitely has to be 140 and 120. They're really close. So go 1 unit down. What is 14 times 9? If it's still big, then go to what is 14 times 8.
Because 126, so we could use 14 times 8.
8.
112.
So go from the easy one by 10 and then keep going down because it's closer. So 8 times 4 is 32. We left it 3. 8 times 1 is 8 plus 3 is 11. 1 is subtract 12 minus 20 minus 12 is 8. We have 84. 8, right? Now 4 goes to 4. 1 time, but it goes more, right? So 4 times 1 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, 4 times 3 is 12, 4 times 4 is 15. We are looking for like 4 times what when I give you last number 4. So, oh, actually we can use this method. 4 times 8, 14 times 8 is 112, and this is less than 112, so definitely has to be less than 8. But how close? But and you're going to do trial and error and see it 6 times 4 is 24, 6 times 1 is 2, plus 8 gives us, minus, gives us 84. So yeah, actually it came in the non-calculator portion, the first one. So you have to know your manual division. Now B is asking how much is your maximum profit? Maximum profit means the Y value of the vertex. So Y is negative 7x squared plus 104x minus 105. So this is 86, and now you're too lazy, just use the calculator. I don't think B will give you in the non-calculator portion.
So 104. Yes.
105, 120486, 105, and negative 786 squared. How much money we have in our profit?
51,667.
51,067.
267.
Not bad. They sold 86 items to gain the profit of $51,000. Yeah. Okay. So with my morning class, I'm gonna go over basically exam 1, exam 2. And when I will give you the exam back, probably I will go over that review also. So we left it everything. I mean, we did everything, combining section, morning section and with you. So you're done with review for everything else except for the materials on exam 2. You're gonna go the materials on exam 2 when I give you the exam back.
Are you using the same like that
Same
or
question.
that? So there are flat on places that we haven't gone over.
Right, there's so many questions. So I'm gonna post the recording. Watch the recording, write down all the questions, so then we'll have all the questions together. I'm giving you a final exam. Okay. So if you study all of this, you know what will be the final. Ah!